okay, Emma, your horse, super well-bred gelding, has developed a habit that he wants to buck when you lope him off. And that's pretty common, you know, and generally speaking, it's not malice. It's not that they're thinking that, you know, they want you off their back so much as what that is they're being playful. But coming off a horse that's being playful hurts just as bad as one that wants to buck you off intentionally. So it's something that you need to address. And what I would do on that situation is I would go back to my groundwork to start with. 9 times out of 10, and it might even be more than 9 times out of 10. Most problems that arise, if you're going to address, probably the first step that you're going to do when you're working on the problem is go back to the basics and get the groundwork. Now, in order to get to the horse's mind, you got to get to his feet. And where you get to his feet is get to his feet doing your groundwork and doing it correctly. To where what you can do is you can bring that energy up and you can bring that energy down. And you can give him direction on whether you want him to be going to the left or going to the right, whether you want him to be walking, whether you want him to trot, whether you want him to lope off. And you bring those transitions up and down, to where there's no resistance in it, and he understands it thoroughly. Also, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a one-rein stop on him or disengage his hindquarters, to where you tip his nose towards you, step his hindquarters forward and through, to where you can shut him down. So that's also, when you're in the saddle, it becomes an emergency brake. But what you do is you do it enough on the ground in your groundwork. So your groundwork with quality. And I don't mean just lunging him around in circles to the left or the right mindlessly. I mean about bringing the energy up, bringing it down, disengaging their hindquarters, sending them the other way. So we go through this in Cowboy Campus Course 1 a bunch. It's super important. So that's where I'd start with this horse. And I'd get him to where he could do his transitions up and down with no argument. And I would do it with having him saddled up. So what happens is when you break your horse laterally, if he's a little tight and bothered and everything, he might be fine going around, say, to the left. And then when you disengage his hindquarters and bring him back to where he has to break laterally, his rib cage and everything expands. And if there's something that's kind of bothering him, itching or biting him a little bit like that, that's generally where it will come out. So I'm going to do that quite a bit on the ground. I'm going to get him moving around to where his transitions are just super smooth. And then I'm going to get on his back and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring that energy up and I'm going to bring it down. I tip him up to a trot. I bring him back down to a walk. I tip him up to a lope. I bring him back down to a stop. I just get up to where I can bring that energy up, bring it down. If he gets to where he's feeling like he's going to be humpy or nothing, I'm going to take his nose and I'm going to disengage his hindquarters and then send him off the other way. So these habits, they didn't start overnight, and you're not going to fix them overnight. But what it is it's a habit. So generally in the colt start, when we're starting one for the first time, when I saddle a colt up for the first time, if he bucks around with a saddle on, that's fine and dandy. He's never had a saddle on his back, and what he's doing is he's feeling it out. And if I've done my job correctly, I've got him saddled up to where when he does hog around, it's not going to change anything. So he's going to say to himself, geez, that was a lot of work with no success. Nothing changed. I still have this saddle on me. I still have the cinch around me. So he'll learn that all it is a bunch of work to be bucking. Then on the second time I saddle him up, I'm going to make it difficult for him to buck. So when he's going around, I've already got my groundwork on him pretty good, to where if he's wanting to hump around like that, I'm going to disengage his hindquarters, send him off the other way, and I'm going to work him even harder when he's trying to buck, to where I'm going to change his mind that bucking is not a good idea. So without seeing your horse and without knowing the total history on it, I would say that's what it is he's developed a habit. It's probably more playful than anything else. And okay, if it could be playful, and it could be as, no, I don't want to go. And there's horses like that too. And then your groundwork is going to especially help you too, to where you're going to be able to bring up that energy and bring that energy down. And you're going to use suggest, ask, tell. And we go through that in Course 1 in Cowboy Campus a bunch, to where if your horse, you're going to ask them politely, and that's suggest. And if they they don't take you up on that good deal, you're going to ask them to where you're going to put a little pressure on. If they're still saying, no, I'm not going to, then you tell them. And when you tell him, that's the point of no return, to where when I tell you you're going to go, you're going to go. So you're going to go easy, you're going to go hard. But I'm always going to start out easy. And I might go from a situation to where I've asked my horse to move out. And if he doesn't move out, I have to maybe go through, suggest, ask, and tell him to go, to where I might have to spank him. Let's go. Then the next time I ask him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right back to suggest. I'm going to be as polite as possible. I'm going to say, I'm going to bring up that life in my body, and away we go. But to address the problem you have, I would go back to my groundwork. And like I said before, in course 1, we covered a whole bunch. So I hope this helps you out, Emma. But what he's done is he's developed a habit, and you've got to change his mind about that habit being a good idea. It's not so much that he has to go, it's he gets to go. Make your idea his idea, and it should all work out for you.